So did the rain wake anybody up? The classroom just turned all the lights off on me. You can't see me behind the monitors. No, good morning. The rain woke me up. Alrighty, I guess about time to take roll. See. I don't have to remember your names. I can just look at the goodness, look at the list. So Andrew's here. Gabriel Tucker's here. Jeremiah Williams. I don't see. Matthew York's here. And the other sheet, we've got Jared Britton's here, Sean Crane. Let's see, Jonathan Goodrich. I do not see. Jacob Lambert's there, Joshua Main, Haley O'Donnell, Haley Smith. Okay, I think I've got roll. So what I've got up on the screen, a little assignment for y'all to work on. You create a public share, and it needs to be set up to where all users can view the contents of the files and folders. Once you've got that created, set it so that it maps all users in the domain and maps drive letter P. And after that's done, test out. I think some of y'all were speed demon and got test out done a little bit early. I don't remember if that was for this class or security class, but they did have a section on there for volume shadow copies. So see if you can get volume shadow copies enabled on server 3. So let's go over, make sure you've got everything good, because it looks like I'll probably give like a quiz on Wednesday and probably a exam over this section on sharing permissions, NTFS permissions, file screens, and quotas on Friday. But just for the simple public share, make sure I am recording. Yep, I am recording. Let's log back in. So I would go to File and Storage Services, go under Shares, and run the new share wizard. Run the simple quick share like we've always done. Locations, we'll need server 3, and you'll need a drive letter other than C or E drive that we set up with our storage pools week. Click next. We said the share name was going to be public. So type public for the share name. And the other settings, we always want to normally allow caching of share and enable data access encryption. On permissions, we'll make sure these are correct. So we'll go customize. We stated that all users should be able to view contents of the files and folders. So that would be a read only. I'm going to have to disable and convert inheritance to make this read only for everybody, and remove this special permission, which gives everybody the ability to create files. If I just remove that, now everybody in the system can read and write. They can read only, read and execute, but not write to the folder. I need to go to my share permission and fix the share permission. And we all know that we change everyone to change. That in effect gives a mandatory access control to everybody on the system. And then add in so the administrators could administer the access control. We add the administrators group, Change the location to server 3. Set administrators to full control. So that's your share permission you always want to have set. And again, the permissions tab, all we had to do is change users and remove the special permission that they had. I'll go ahead and create this out. And public will be shared out. The next step was to create a map network drive. So I'm going to go ahead and right click and open this public share. I'm going to copy the path to the public share so I can use it in my drive mapping. Now I'll go to group policy. We stated everyone in the domain needs to have the map network drive to public. So I'll click on contosa.com. That includes everybody in the domain. I'll create a new GPO. Give it a name, which will be descriptive, global drive maps. We'll edit the global drive maps. We'll expand out preferences, control panel settings, window settings. And there's our drive maps. So you right click, go to new map network drive. Make 3 changes in here: the location, the label, name it the same as the share name, and we set the drive letter to P. So those are the 3 changes that we make. We don't mess with any other changes in the dialog box. So we'll hit OK. And we should have drive letter P with the yellow triangle. And then we can test out to make sure the drive maps are working. I can go to my client machine. I'll log in as Joe Dirt here. I'm going to run a GP update. One of those commands I said that you probably need to remember it, because when you mess with drive or group policy, you typically have to run it or wait your 3 hours, log off, log back on, reboot the computer. So I run GP update and it brought in my public drive map. And that way it made sure that everything was working correctly. It should be read only. So Joe Dirt should not be able to create a file. Okay, that is correct. He cannot create files, but he could read files that were in there. if there were files in there. Okay, next part, enable volume shadow copies for server 3. Hopefully you Googled and figured that out or looked at it in test out and have already remembered how to do that. What I'm going to do is go to all servers in Server Manager. So I want to see server 1, 2, 3 listed. I want volume shadow copies enabled. Of course, server 3 is the only thing that we're going to have shares on. It's the only one that we want to enable volume shadow copy. I'll right click server 3. Click computer management. When computer management opens, I'll verify that it does say server 3 that I'm connected to. And to enable volume shadow copy service, you right click on shared folders, go to all tasks, and you configure shadow copies. And RVC service is unavailable. We may have to do it from PowerShell. I think we're going to have to do that from PowerShell. Yep, it's not letting us get into disk management. So let's go and open up PowerShell on server 3. So I forgot, being a remote computer and being a core system, we can't use the graphical method. So you would want to Google enable volume shadow copy with PowerShell. And a quick Google shows that the command to use is VSS admin. And just curious, did anybody get volume shadow copies set up on server 3? So I'm hearing silence. the silent treatment. Okay, well, I'm going to change over to my D drive. And that's the drive letter that, nope, E drive. And there's where all of our shares are. So I'll just type E:. So I'm going to add a shadow copy storage. Hey, I typed that. So VSS admin, there wasn't a dash. We got add space shadow storage. And if you were to hit enter, it comes up and says we didn't complete everything. So we need to add a /4 switch and use an equal mark. Type in the drive letter and a colon. In our case, it should be E:. And then we want it to be stored. It's best if it's stored on a different volume, but in our case, we just want to deal with previous versions. We're going to say in our environment that we're using backups. So we're going to set it on the same drive on the same E:. And typically you want to use around 10 to 15% of the drive. So we've got a 50 gigabyte, 50,000 megabyte size hard drive. So if we want to do 15%, we can set our max size equal to 7,500 megabytes and hit enter. And if everything's typed correctly, you'll get successfully added shadow copy storage association. Let me check y'all screens. Everybody good with the enable shadow? Okay. So we need to take.
Mine's not working.
Jared, let's look at Jared's real quick. He spelled chat instead of shadow. Okay.
It's hard to see the little letters.
Yes. Yeah. When you're doing remote, it's not as I do understand that for sure. I've remoted in. You get some funny spellings. At least you don't get one letter over from the U and put an I in Cisco. You're typing no shut. That's entertaining. Okay, so volume shadow copy, since it is Microsoft Core, this was a little complicated. It wasn't just a graphical. Plus, we don't have the graphical tool to let us easily create a schedule for the shadow copy to run every day. So to make it run every day, we also need to type in VSS admin followed by list, followed by shadow storage. If I can spell it correctly. Okay. I have it listed up on the screen. What I want to do, I want to highlight this curly bracket right here and get this ID number. And hit enter. So I'm copying the unique identifier for the volume that has shadow copy turned on. Now I want to launch task scheduler. And you can find that by clicking on the hourglass and typing in task space scheduler, or when the icon pops up, launching task scheduler, not task manager.
Which part of the thing did you copy?
Curly brackets, all the numbers in between the curly brackets and the curly brackets themselves. So right there, I'll hide the part of the screen, but this unique identifier signature that's on that volume, I'm going to connect to another computer and type in server 3. So my task scheduler is working on server 3. So now that I'm on server 3, I'm going to create a new task. So I just click create task, and I'm going to name it shadow copy volume. And I'm going to hit Control V right there to paste that identifier. I want it to run whether the user's logged in or not. I'll create it for Windows Server 2016. and I want it to run as the operating system itself. So I'm going to change the user group, and I'm going to type in system, check name, and hit OK. So it's going to run as NT Authority system, and it's going to be configured for Windows Server 2016. I'm going to go to triggers. I'm going to create a new trigger. I want to run this daily, every day. And I want to start it at, say, 3 in the morning. And now let's make this before backups are taken. Let's make it 8 p.m. You typically want your volume shadow copies. And we also want the task to stop if it runs more than, say, 8 hours. And we want it to be enabled. So we're going to do daily, 8 p.m., recur every day. We're going to stop the task if it some reason runs longer than 8 hours at a time. We're going to enable it. It's never going to expire. We'll hit OK. Under actions, this will be what is done. So we're going to click add or new. We're going to start a program, and we're going to browse. This is on Windows System 32. And we're going to find the VSS admin tool. Click open. We could have also typed it in, but I like to browse for it. And for the arguments, I'm going to use a notepad file. I'm going to paste in that it's going to have to start with create shadow, followed by, best if we do auto retry. Say every 15 times it was to fail. 4 equals 2 backslashes, question mark, another backslash. And then at the very end, Follow it with a backslash at the end. That whole entire thing. Will need to be copied and pasted in. And the start in it's best if you type % system root % backslash system 32. It might be good to try to do a CD, paste it in, and make sure that's a PowerShell. PowerShell is not going to use the % system root %. It uses a different mechanism. Sorry about that. So I'm going to paste that in. % system root %. You can open up a command prompt window, CMD, and paste it into a command prompt window and make sure that it actually takes you to Windows System 32. That way you know you've typed it in correctly. So that was opening up a command prompt window, typing CD space, pasting that system root % 32, make sure it went correctly. That way you know you can paste it in here. And in all actuality, the program start script, this front part should actually be % system root % system 32, just in case drive C for some reason becomes a different drive letter at any point in time. This task would still run because it would replace Windows System 32 or replace C:\Windows with whatever drive letter. You know, if somehow C drive becomes D all of a sudden for some oddity and it rebooted the computer, it would automatically replace D:\Windows, and it would still find the System 32 folder. It would still find VSS admin, and it would still run. That's a lot better than using a hard-coded C:\. Again, you can double check this command can work, copy it, paste it into a command prompt, and see if it runs correctly and gives you the help output. There's lots of little issues on that. The best thing to do is look up somebody else's help. And I'm going to paste the web link for everybody that's here. And that right there is a website that says how to set up volume shadow copies on a Windows Server core system, which you don't have the graphical interface available to do the work. Once you made those verifications, got that all typed in, and then you can hit OK. Hit OK again. And click on Task Scheduler. You can see that this task is ready. I can force it to run right now by right-clicking and clicking on Run. and look for errors. So task completed. I got no errors. I've only got infos. So that lets me know that it ran correctly. The volume shadow copy service is really, really nice to have. And you may want to save that web link because you may need to command line enable volume shadow copy services on any file servers in the future. Most Windows, you're recommended to install the core only nowadays instead of with the graphics. It runs faster, more securely, less updates, except for volume shadow copy. Enabling it requires this extra work at the command line. So we did that in LAN 1. I do believe this is just a refresher. It should be, I'm like 80% sure that we covered this in LAN 1, but it is such a little bit of complexity there. I mean, you got instructions you can follow on the website and get it put in there, but definitely wanted to show you that again. It's been a long summer since y'all had LAN 1. Okay, that's a one-time setup. Volume shadow copy service is fully configured on server 3. It will continue to run and use up to 7,500 megabytes or 15% of the volume as a shadow copy. That way, if somebody accidentally deletes a file and messes it up, they can go to a previous version of the file and get one that's 24 hours or less old. So Wednesday, I said we would make a quiz. I'm going to make a quiz over basically what's highlighted in blue. You'll have to create a share. You'll have to set share permissions, NTFS permissions on the share. You'll have to map a network drive. And we'll make this worth right at 50 points. We'll also review, after doing that, we'll review file screens. And on Friday, we'll have another quiz. We'll probably create 2 or 3 shares with the same information, mapping drives, and adding to it file screens and quotas. So you have to remind me, we'll go over quotas too on Wednesday, but as far as the quiz portion, the first, say 30 minutes of class, will give you time to create a single share, set the permissions, assign the drive letter. Any questions? And I did go in and fix the shell. I did notice that I forgot to move the yellow block and update week 6. So I did move the yellow block down to week 6, and I've updated week 6. We're supposed to be finishing up module 10. Your assignment test out module 10. I'll try to get the 2 quizzes that we're going to have listed out here. So that'll be a reminder for you that they're coming up on Wednesday and Friday. But test out 10 should be done by October 2nd, I think. I got 2 people already submitted, so that's good. Okay, no questions. I'm going to end the meeting. Ready for next one. And I'll upload this to YouTube. That way you can review it if you need to review for the quiz coming up.